welcome to Super Talk.
Hello.
Hi, it's great to have you.
Super happy to be here today.
I feel like there's a delay in.
There is.
There
Yeah.
really is for the intro. Okay, so welcome to Super Talk Show again. And would you like to start with an introduction about yourself?
Sure. My name is Jerry. My Chinese name is Fu Xuanzhi. I come from Beijing, China. I started studying in the U.S. 5 years ago, I think, uh, in a middle school called Fay in Southborough, Massachusetts. And currently, I'm studying in the St. Paul School in Concord, New Hampshire. And I'm a rising junior, so I'll be entering the 11th grade in the coming fall.
Oh,
And personally, I like to do arts, so like any kind of visual arts related stuff. I've experimented with different types of artworks or art forms, like oil painting, acrylics, doodling, sketching, whatever, digital art, etc.
mhm. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So this series is a LaunchX series, and this
Hmm.
year, both myself and Jerry were in the LaunchX summer program, for 2022. So may I ask what brought you to LaunchX as, a brander on your team?
Right. So I heard about this super cool program from both my teachers and my friends, I think, and also my counselor. And it's because I haven't had any like former knowledge on entrepreneurship and or like the business related stuff. So I really wanted like an intro course, almost like, or like a generalized course that take me through the entire process. So I have a better idea like of how to start a personal startup or how to be part of a business, like how to go from ideation to the final product and to selling it. I think that would be super cool because I do have a lot of ideas. I just don't know how to execute them sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. The topic of week one is actually ideation. So it's nice you brought that
Yeah.
up. So in class, Jerry, I always see you as like, I'm pretty sure you were taking notes. So that's how you take notes
Yeah.
in class. So I really want to ask, like, how do you organize the information that you learn every day from LaunchX, during the lessons? Because I also take notes and it's quite messy. I don't know if I have it here.
Well, I wouldn't try to argue that my notes are not as messy as yours because like I couldn't even read my notes sometimes after I take them. I think the thing about my note taking strategy is that it's not just in launch checks, but like in my personal lives, in my personal projects at school, I would usually just do like the half doodle, half mind map, half taking notes kind of style. And then because like I usually like to think about it in the way that because I'm an artist, so like my trains of thoughts always go like into different directions. I would go from one topic, like say if I'm talking to someone about one topic, like my mind would go on to spreading to different topics or subtopics or things related. So it's really hard to control like all of those thoughts going outwards. So what I usually do is that after I have this kind of picture like note, I would like just read it after say a day or so, and then try to organize the ideas I have.
Mhm.
And also I try to integrate like everything together, like everything in my life together. So it's not just there's the class part and there's the personal part. Because if I learn something in class, like what I do now is that I try to think about how that specific knowledge can be applied to like the other aspects of my life. So like I'm reading the you might have heard of this the like the Chinese book the Tao Te Ching or Dao De Jing. So
Mhm.
like I try to do all of those uh, making all sorts of random connections and try to bring things together.
Yeah, that really
Yeah.
reminded me what I was doing actually before this interview. So before the interview
Mhm.
in LaunchX, we have a discussion group every week to the super audience that doesn't really know a lot about LaunchX. So for
Yeah.
discussion groups, we usually have it with like 10 different students and with an intern leading the discussion. So usually it's about collecting and compiling every knowledge we learned in class and
Hmm.
putting it in real life context, like what you're saying. So I was also researching about a real life application of the pricing activity, and that was my task because I'll be presenting
Hmm.
it this week in the discussion group. So I kind of made a connection there.
That's right.
Um, yeah, I'm thinking of what's the next question. Ooh, today I was scrolling through Instagram today, and I saw you posted about your startup, which is about sports. Do you wanna, introduce your startup?
Sure. So our startup, I'm part of Team 28. Our startup is about, well, its name is My Sports Feedback, and it's basically an online platform that allows young athletes, young aspiring athletes, to post their training videos and then get feedback and comments from professional coaches or perhaps in the future even like more advanced players uh, who's doing the same sport. And the reason why we had this idea in the first place was because all the team members on our team play a sport. Like I do squash, two of our team members do golf, and then one do archery, I think.
Wow.
And there's also an XC runner, Abby. And we're like, a common problem we face is that sometimes, on the team, you do have a coach or even like multiple coaches, but then there are like 20 or 30 something team members on your school team. So there isn't enough time that the team coach spends with like each individual player. So you don't often get a chance to, have in-depth conversation about say your form when you hit the ball or like how are the specific ways that you can improve in the future, and then this platform would allow us to provide that opportunity to our peer athletes.
Mhm. Do you think it can be in the future? Let's say, do you think it can be maybe an alternative to having, one-on-one studying with a coach?
Well, yeah, definitely, because we haven't really talked about this specific route like in the future with like within our team. But then for me personally, all of my startup ideas, when they first told us to submit like the five origin ideas,
Oh,
are
yeah.
all kind of related. They were all kind of related to like something virtual or kind of taking the things that happen in reality into the virtual world. I personally think that's going to be a really important trend in the coming future, like with the metaverse, and yeah, NFT or
I
NFP.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm doing a lot of research and just reading articles about those on a daily basis recently. I was trying to learn more or know more about like the concept behind and how might we um, take part in this trend or like find some opportunities that combines like um, that in which we can use our own skills and then do something with that like the virtual transformation or transition and then be helpful to the society. I guess it's vague, but then it's like doing something that's meaningful.
Yeah, I was also looking through your Instagram and you just mentioned that, 3D stuff. You were
Hmm.
doing like a lot of art and I saw you drawing an apple on top of some books. Is I guess like in 3D style. So, do you find yourself, in the future when you're like older, when you can work creating or like drawing or even designing, 3D art, for example, for Meta or for 3D technologies?
Well, definitely. Like before this year, I was still like mainly doing all that like 2D two-dimensional artworks with the actual like paper and pen, or paint, or digital that's still 2D. like with Sketchbook or Procreate and all that stuff. But then starting from this month, actually, I'm starting to take some CAD lessons, like trying to learn how to create the three-dimensional object or the 3D model on the computer. And I think that would be super cool because like literally it's up to a new dimension. Like I'll be able to create like more stuff that's more fun or that's more interesting. That's cooler because like on the two-dimensional plane you're still limited to some of that, you know. It's almost like a still. Like you can just look at the picture for a moment and then move on to the next one. But then there's so much to explore in like a three-dimensional artwork that you can like spend a full day like trying to just turning the thing around, examining it. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's gonna be super cool.
Okay, that makes sense. And you mentioned briefly in one of your answer to my question that you play squash. And
Yeah.
personally, I don't know what squash is. So can you explain like at what scale do you play that sport and
Well,
what maybe?
in simple terms, it's basically playing tennis inside a box, I'd say. Yeah. So like you have this
Oh.
room. You have this room. There's walls on the
Ooh.
front and sides, and then it's usually like a glass door on the back. So you'll be hitting the ball against the wall, and then it bounces back, and then either you volley it or after one bounce you have to hit it back again. So what makes the sport interesting is that you can play it by yourself, unlike tennis, because you have to have two players in tennis. But then for squash, you can just hit it all by yourself, like different directions, play by yourself all day without a partner. Yeah.
Okay. So is that like a after school activity you do by yourself or like a school sport?
Oh, it's a school sport. Like we do it in the winter, and when you actually play, you it's better to have like a someone to play with you. That way you can like do a game and then count the score and stuff.
Like, well,
Exactly.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I guess I'm
The
getting
ball bounces all around.
that. I think there's a huge delay in our communication, like the
There
Wi-Fi,
is.
and it's so weird. It's rare. It's very weird. Okay.
I know. Yeah,
Um,
I can see it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's still going on. So to finish,
There it goes again. Yeah.
oh, you were frozen. You were frozen for a few seconds. Um, I was waiting for your response, so like I was waiting for that delay. But you didn't have a response. Anyways, um, to finish off the interview, do you have any like last final tips that you have for maybe like artwork people or just prospective applicants for LaunchX 2023 or beyond?
Sure. Just in general for the LaunchX application, I would say like everybody should remember like to not take the official LaunchX application videos on YouTube so seriously
Oh,
because when I first looked at those, you know, like everyone's like entrepreneurs from 3 year olds, like everybody's have like 20 projects or businesses on their hands, and everybody's so much more talented than I was, and it was like kind of intimidating, to be honest. Um, but then during the application process and after like actually being part of the program, you'll see that most people are like ourselves. Like
yeah,
we do have some sort of talent, but we're not that like talented, you know.
yeah,
So for like the new applicants, it's better not to be intimidated by those super fancy, super like almost like perfect videos. But then we should rather try to focus on what we already have, like the skills we already have, and like how to present ourselves to the people reviewing the applications. And then one thing that worked out pretty well for me is that during the application process, I was like I wasn't taking it, I wasn't thinking about it as merely an application for a summer program, but I was really like taking everything that's happening in my life into account, and then again, it's vague. It's like zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, and then like trying to analyze myself. Like, what are my talents? What are my advantages that might look cool on like on my application and stuff like that. Like, what matters the most to me?
Yeah. And I think
Yeah,
that's the best answer I got out of everyone I ever interviewed from Super Talk Show, maybe ever, about, like giving last advice. I think it's really nice that you brought up,
flattered.
oh, that you brought up, those previous videos because I did myself watch a lot of them and some of them look really young. And I was a ninth grader applying. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? How did I spend my time as a freshman? Like, wow. But yeah, that was a very true
Exactly,
aspect.
exactly.
Yeah. So thank you, Jerry, so much for being on this talk show. It was great having you.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
thank you.
And thank you for the Wi-Fi delay to be here. It's very funny.
Is
Okay.
it still here? Yeah, I guess so.
It's
Yeah.
still, yeah. Bye. Still here. Okay.